Hey my cinnamon rolls, I hope you're doing really well. I thought that as someone who got really positive feedback on my interview when I applied for Oxford last year, I would make this video talking about my experiences, the advice that I would give, and also areas where I wish I did something in a different way that probably would have improved my chances of like having a better interview. So I'll read out the feedback that they gave me when I asked for it afterwards. So they said, in the interviews you came across as enthusiastic and with a clear passion for the subject. You gave good responses on the questions around your personal statement, bringing in recent learning. Our tutors enjoyed the discussion around technical questions and your genuine interest in the topics explored, and our tutors appreciated your logical and transparent thought processes. So that's like pretty good. So I want to give you guys the best chance of getting in. Also to note, so I had two interviews. My first one I scored 4 out of 7, and my second one I scored 5.5 out of 7, and I definitely did make changes between those two, so I can tell you like what I did that boosted me up for my second interview as well. And even though I applied for biology at Oxford, I've asked my friends doing STEM and humanities at Cambridge, Oxford as well. Shout out to my friends Carl and Isabel for giving me the advice and stuff like that they personally had for when they were applying to Cambridge. So this video is like ultimate guide to Oxbridge interviews or whatever. So it does encompass a lot of different perspectives, and it should cover pretty much like most interview experiences. So I hope that you guys don't feel like as anxious, because it does feel like a really big deal. And it is a really big deal as well. You should be so proud of yourself for getting to this stage, even if it feels like it's like normal. You know what I mean? Like, don't ignore how big of an achievement it is to get the interview in the first place. Okay, so for context, I applied to Wadham College for biology. I had 2 interviews. I had one with Wadham and I had one with Queen's College, but I had my first interview on the 9th of December with Queen's and my second one with Wadham on the 11th of December. So I had 2 days in between. Some people have them both on the same day. Some people, I think with Cambridge, it's you do your first interview and then you hear about if you're on to the next stage and if you get a second interview with that. So it does vary between colleges, between courses and universities. But I was also lucky in the sense that I knew that I was going to have an interview about 2 weeks before. Some people might only get it a few days. But anyway, so if you're doing biology, listen to this. If you're not, you can skip to the next part. So for biology, I was quite surprised because I was asked quite a lot of questions that were more ecology related, if that makes sense. So not necessarily like genetic, cellular, metabolic processes. I was asked more about like interactions between organisms. So I think that is usually like the part that a lot of people don't really enjoy in biology. So maybe like just be aware, right? So in biology, you've only got the same few principles, right? You've got predation, competition, survival, reproduction, and like mutualistic relationships, right? So just think like, why would these 2 organisms interact with each other? And just in your head, just go through that short list of things that basically explain the reason behind organisms do anything in biology, you know what I mean? They would play a clip or they would show me a picture of something and explain and like ask me to explain why it was happening and the reasoning behind it. So I don't think I can legally tell you exactly what they asked me, but it is not as difficult as you think. It is like, it's unfamiliar, but it's not difficult. And I spent the 2 weeks prep before going through the entire A-level specification. I don't think I would recommend that. You can do it to feel more secure in your knowledge, but you do not need to do all of that at all. Maybe just go over a few topics briefly that you're unsure about, but that's kind of it. So yeah, just applying those big ideas to the specific question and trying to like link it to what context you think they're asking you about. Also, they asked a lot of like graph questions, so they would be like, oh, explain the relationship, what is this graph showing, and stuff like that. But it's kind of straightforward, you know, you just read off like important figures, where the line of best fit kind of like changes, if it's a significant relationship, what sort of correlation there is. Okay, so now on to advice that I would give. So firstly, for preparation for the interviews, I would really recommend going line by line through your personal statement with extra annotations, bringing in recent learning, because I got asked about my EPQ during my interview, and I luckily had read about an extra thing, recent discovery related to it, and I brought that in, and that is what they mentioned in the feedback, so they really that stood out. Also, in my second interview, in the start of one of my paragraphs, I said climate change poses the greatest threat to every living organism. I mistakenly did not annotate that, because I only annotated my experiences. So I annotated my work experience, I annotated my EPQ, stuff like that with greater depth, but I didn't annotate just the filler sentences. And they asked me about that, and I was like, for a half second, but don't worry guys, I came in clutch. I just pulled stuff out of my ass from geography lessons, and I rambled, but I was able to answer the question, and they didn't look at me like I had just waffled about nothing. So go line by line through your personal statement and annotate it, just in case they ask you about it. If you search up your course Oxford or Cambridge mock interview, usually there should be YouTube videos that come up, because I think during COVID they did a few, for biology I remember watching 2 of them beforehand, and that just sort of gives you a feel for what sort of questions they ask you, what sort of areas they might delve into and topics they might bring in. And also I would really recommend trying to get a mock interview with one of your subject teachers at your school, or a tutor, but someone who you're not that familiar with, because if you're doing it with a teacher that you like and you get along well with, that is different to doing it with a tutor at Oxbridge who you've never met before, who is probably also slightly intimidating. So do it with the scariest teacher you can find in your subject department, is my recommendation. If you're doing maths and engineering, also specifically, do a lot of questions, because I think your interviews, rather than asking you, they ask you questions, but it's also working through them, and you need to be confident in the methods that you're using and showing you're working out and your reasoning behind stuff. So rather than humanities, where it might be a bit more open-ended essay question thing. Also, I know my friend who applied for English at Oxford, the way that her interview went was she got emailed a poem or a text, I think it was 15 minutes before her interview, and then you have that time to just go through it, annotate, try and make the inferences and everything, and then discuss it in the interview. So try and be on it, and have good Wi-Fi. Also prep some of the classic questions that they will ask. Things like, why are you doing this course? What motivates you? What is your greatest achievement? These things come up quite often, and they're usually the first question they ask you as an icebreaker before they get right into the technical questions. So I got asked why are you doing this course? Why do you like biology? So just prep those beforehand. I think it's really good as well. Okay, and now onto the actual interview. Advice that I would give is 100% keep yapping. Verbalize your thought processes, everything that you're thinking of. Even if it feels wrong, it still shows where you're coming from, you know what I mean? And you're not expected to get it right, but the tutors are looking to see how your brain is forming connections, and they will steer you in different directions as well. So I remember I had a question that was kind of difficult, and I said an answer, and they were like, oh, okay, that's good, but how about we focus on this part of what you said, and then can you go further onto that? So then I would try and shift my thinking to focus on that tiny part that I said that was more related to the right answer. Because it is in your course, obviously you will come across something difficult, and it's about how you problem solve and get through it, and that's what the tutors are looking for. That's how they can tell if someone's Oxbridge material, I guess. Making eye contact, I think, and smiling. So I remember smiling the entire time, and I think they liked me a little bit more. They would smile back, especially with Wadham. Oh my god, I love Wadham College so much. Shout out the biology tutors at Wadham College. They were so lovely. They said hi, they said bye to me, they waved as well, and I was just because I was being so friendly and smiling as well. It just gives off a good impression as well, and it probably tricks your brain into thinking that you're not about to piss yourself with fear. Also, try to limit filler words going and something that my biology teacher told me to do for my interview that I think helped was taking a sip of water, or having a cup of tea when you're there, taking a sip of water. This is if it's online. I don't really know how you could pull it off that well in person, because some colleges and some at Oxbridge do offer in-person interviews and not online. So mine was online as well. So take a sip of water, and that gives you like 2 seconds to think a little bit deeper. Also, this is really, really important. Please don't take their reactions to heart if they're not very friendly. Because I remember my first interview, there was one of the tutors. She was very blunt and very like no reaction, no smiles, no indication. So I was like, oh. And I think that's why my first interview, I fumbled. Like, I got 4 out of 7, which is like better than half. But I feel like I fumbled that, and I would have gotten more. But it was just like, it threw me off how like blank she was. So I wasn't really prepared for that. So when I was saying my answers and I wasn't really getting anything back, I was like, oh, flip. So yeah, do not take their reactions to heart. Just keep talking, just keep smiling. Interviews, mine were half an hour each. I think other courses can vary between 20 minutes to an hour. So hopefully maximum is an hour. You just need to stick it out through the hour. Just stick out through the hour. You can cry afterwards. You can laugh afterwards. You can do a backflip afterwards. I don't know, but just like stick it out for an hour if you like can. Please, please, please. Moving on to the final section in this video. I need to catch a train, so I am like speed running this. I can't click. Yeah, I can't click. Oh well. So what changed in my second interview, and therefore like the things that I wish that I did, or things I wish I knew from my first interview that I think would have improved my score. I listened to so much like music that hyped me up. So this varies person to person, but you know, I'm thinking like hype rap. Put on some Yeet, put on some Cardi, or like Charlie XCX, or just a song that makes you feel good. Put on All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled. Put that on before your interview and like get hyped, get into the mood, affirm yes to claim, positive affirmations, like, because you got the interview, you are capable of getting into Oxbridge, you are so smart. And I think sometimes you just need to like consciously remind yourself of that. So you know what, like before the interview, when you're in the waiting room and you're like waiting for them to join the team's meeting and you can just see yourself, just tell yourself like, actually no, don't say it out loud in case they join midway, but just tell yourself in your head like, I am capable of this, I am smart, I can answer the questions, I deserve to go to Oxbridge. Something like that, okay? Reprogram your brain before the interview so that you feel more confident. Secondly, I had in my second interview, because it was on my laptop, I actually wrote on a post-it note like, Nicole, you are capable of answering the questions, you've got this. And it's cringe, but it actually helped, because every time I started like stammering a bit or going like, oh my god, I feel like I've hit a roadblock, I would see that post-it note that was stuck on the side of my laptop. We stick it like on your wall or whatever room that you're in, and just like, it was a reminder to myself that I am capable. And I think in my second interview, I was a lot more eloquent and a lot more confident, and I wasn't going like, whenever I wasn't getting the reaction that I wanted from the tutors, basically. Because bro, you know, my first interview, they asked, oh, what molecules have nitrogen in them, and I was doing all the nitrogen-based DNA, whatever. I forgot to say proteins. Bro, I still think about that sometimes. So it wasn't like I was stupid, it was just that I kept feeling like I was like getting thrown off, like my head wasn't properly in it, and I was just a bit like, ooh. What's that line? It's like, oh, I don't get nervous, but I'm feeling a little bit shaky. That was literally my first interview. And so I'm making this video so that you can learn from my mistakes, you can hear the advice I'm giving. Anyway, that is me yapping. Also, sorry, that is not the end of me yapping, because I want to talk about after your interview. So after your interview, please do not like freak out too much, if that makes sense. Like if it went awful, if you feel like you've bombed it, firstly, not a reflection of your intelligence. Secondly, Oxbridge is not for everyone. You could be so smart, but Oxbridge, like, it's different, but that doesn't necessarily make it better for everybody. Like, it could be better for some people, but not everybody. And I genuinely wake up every morning so thankful that I do not go to Oxford and that I did not get the offer. Like, I am so happy at Durham, and it fits me so much better. And I think if you don't enjoy your interview, that is probably a sign that you wouldn't necessarily enjoy that style of teaching as much. But yeah, please do not take it to heart. Give yourself a massive like pat on the back, buy yourself a sweet treat or go on a nice walk, spend time with family and friends. And if you end up not getting the offer, I understand that it hurts in the moment. You think back to everything that you've done and like, how did I go wrong? Everything like that. But you will get through it. As someone who went through that exact experience, I can promise you, you will get through it. Your life will be what it's meant to be at the end, right? Because you're always on the path that you're meant to be. And interviews are such a great experience of being able to talk to like an experienced professional academic in your field. And I think looking back on the interviews as that, instead of like something that's trying to break you, I don't know, like just genuinely just think of it as a conversation, and that will help with the nerves as well. Like you're just having a conversation and you can ask them questions at the end as well. So I remember asking one of them about his research in the Aral Sea, because I'm really interested in that as well, like the desertification, like the land degradation there. And I found out that one of the tutors that was interviewing me actually does projects there, so I was like fangirling and asked him about that. But yeah, you can do that. Have fun, enjoy it. Wishing you the absolute best of luck, and I love you so much.